Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Da, 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 da.
Hi,
Right.
everybody. It's Shannon and Drema for part 2 of Ancestral Karma.
Ancestral.
Was that dramatic?
Yes, that was really great. Ancestral karma.
Yeah.
How to heal it. Heal
Yeah.
it.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. Good. A little tired, but yeah, but good. I'm
Good.
moving through space
I
and time.
slept I slept really, really hard last night. So
Really.
I'm kind of
Yeah. Boy, I'd like that. I don't have that. Yeah, I didn't have that. I was up from had a big, huge space there. I was just awake and yeah, just moving through some stuff, so it's okay. We just got to move through, you know.
yeah.
As the divine brings things to us, we just have to, allow it to just pass, and
Yeah, for
and
sure.
know that we are in this third dimension, and we are not, and we are only affected by it if we allow ourselves to be, and that's what.
Mhm.
Always come back to center myself. When I tell people, okay, center yourself, sort of center yourself. I'm not affected by this third dimension because I am here just as a participant and an observer. And so they can carry on with all kinds of stuff that they want. I'm not going to allow
Mhm.
myself to be affected by it. So that's what I'm trying to stay centered today. None of this is affecting me. Because, if you scroll through and hear the media and the news, and they're going to tell you, oh, things are getting really not good for the holiday weekend. It's not looking good. We should probably isolate ourselves. Um, okay.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, no, I'm not participating in this third dimensional drama. Sorry, not me.
Yeah, one of my friends is a nurse, and my daughter started sports too. So they're starting spring sports, and they're having athletes at least in my district, like swab. So I was okay with that. I'm like, I don't want it going way up there. So it was just like a swab, inside the nasal passage, I think. And it's like every 2 weeks. And so suddenly the numbers are going up, right?
Oh yeah.
And he's like, of course that's going to happen because there's a ton of asymptomatic people walking around
Yes.
and so when you start testing a bunch of athletes.
But testing, yeah, you're going to get some reaction. I mean, come on. But we have the ability, just like with what we're talking about ancestral karma, we have ability to change things. We can literally change our future. We can heal our past. We can change it all, and so we don't have to be we don't have to subject ourselves to this third dimensional realm of trouble and trial and aging and pain and suffering. And I think that's another whole thing we could go into. Just that
Yes.
it's just huge in
In fact,
that healing.
yeah, I had lunch with an old well, she would not be happy if I said old, a former coworker who has
Yeah.
retired.
Yes. Okay. That's good.
She's a very young 60 something, and she retired from public schools for a lot of the reasons why I left, but she was eligible to retire. So so that's one of the things she's like, don't forget to talk about the dormant DNA and how to there's a whole book it's called Dirty Genes. That's like a whole
That's a whole thing to talk about, but man,
yeah.
it is interesting to me. I've been really
Yes.
hanging in. There's a hanging in and hanging out. There's a gal on YouTube named Lori Ladd, I do believe is her name, and she
Yes.
goes into it. She is fantastic as a light worker, just bringing illumination to the dimensions, their third dimension, and moving into the fifth dimension. And man, it's just so cool because it just reminds you every day, I'm not subject to this, and I'm not going to subject myself to this energy anymore. I'm done with it. I'm going to raise my vibration, and I'm going to shine my light so bright that none of this, illness, sickness, trouble, trial, all this, crap cannot stay in my field. So,
right.
So yeah, there we go. Okay, so back on to karma, ancestral
So
karma.
we talked about which that's all rolled in there because we're talking about ancestors. Who else gave you those genes?
Yeah, exactly.
So yesterday, I just want to kind of recap what we talked about. We talked about how to get in contact with like coming into that. I don't know. Energy is like a really strong word because what that means might look different, for different people, and whether or not you're accessing the things that you need to heal. But you're going to have your own path that's unique to you, so it doesn't.
Exactly. And that is so true because and you know what, as long as we come into balance and we have no judgment on anyone's path, this is their personal path, and they have to walk their path out, and no matter what it, where it moves them, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we're all unique and different. I know that in our path, and you know what? We are reinventing ourselves all the time. So we're not the same person we were last year, honestly. And we're not the same person we were 5 years ago. You can look and say, wow, I'm a different person. I'm a different person because I met you,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you brought a whole new energy and flow to my life. And that's how it is when we come in connection. Connection is so powerful. So it's all part of I believe it's part of, there's a reason why even we connected. That spirit drew you here. You connected to me to even bring some, what would you call it? Some clearing, some clarity to what was going on and the stuff that you were desiring. You were asking spirit, I want to heal this ancestral karma. Even if you never said it with your mind, I mean, in your mouth, you might have said it in your mind. Wow, I really want to heal this ancestral karma. And so, bam, spirit connects you and moves you into the place to heal it. So
yeah, the experience that I shared quite closely with you, just to kind of summarize it, there was no doubt that you absolutely had something was asking to be, I had to do something with it, the information.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. So go ahead and read those things. She sent me some things yesterday. They were absolutely fascinating and beautiful.
I'm trying to find them, actually.
Oh, no. You want me to? Well, I could send it.
No, I got it. I got it. It just took me a minute. I found the prayer, which is really cool.
I love
ancestral mathematics, just to give people an idea of, like, okay, so I had that one experience, well, there's been others, but that one really traumatic or dramatic experience. I mean, there's more than just them, like a lot more, and I don't know that you ever get to the end either.
I don't know either. That's a good point.
But if everybody's working on it, then
yes, I think that you can rectify. Would that be the word? A lot of things, and move through your path and just clear things out of the way, that happened in past generational things. But I don't know if we ever get done. We really don't ever get done. Yeah.
Can you see that? I'm gonna see if I can zoom.
I can't really read it. No, so you can read it to everybody, but it was so beautiful.
We'll see if I can zoom in.
I can read ancestral mathematics. So,
can you see it now? I zoomed in a little bit.
A little bit. In order to be born, you need. I love that. Yeah, go ahead and read that. That's so cool.
Ancestral mathematics. In order to be born, you needed 2 parents, 4 great-grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 second great-grandparents, 32 third great-grandparents, 64 fourth great-grandparents, 128 fifth great-grandparents. But you get down to the ninth, you had 2,048 ninth great-grandparents.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. You got that right. That's a lot. Wow.
Yes.
It's so cool.
So that's just, so I don't know that you ever get to the proverbial end of things. And it can look so vast and different for every person. Mm-hmm. So yesterday, it's kind of funny. One of our shared friends said to me that I watched a podcast. It was really interesting. It's a really interesting topic, though. I don't spend, what did he say? I don't spend a lot of time on it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is someone who, who just found a half brother through 23andMe. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? You just did it.
Yeah. Like,
and has been incredibly focused on contact and meeting and all that stuff.
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So it can look so very many different ways, it can look so different. I don't know.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. So it's all of those things.
Yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Sounds like you have something to say. You're like very contemplative.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I am contemplating. I don't have nothing to say, but I'm like rolling a lot of thoughts in my head about everything. I was thinking about the stuff I was reading earlier.
Yeah.
Stuff your dad's talking about. I'm over here
I
reading,
know.
like
I don't
this.
know what you're saying.
I'm like floating all over the place. I'm like, wow, yeah. Talk about ancestral karma.
Yeah. So it goes on to say, for you to be born today from 12 previous generations, which we all would have, you needed to have a total of 4,094 ancestors over the last 400 years. Think for a moment how many struggles, how many battles, how many difficulties, how much sadness, how much happiness, how many love stories, how many expressions of hope for the future did your ancestors have to undergo for you to exist in this present moment.
Yes. That's amazing.
It's so very amazing.
I love that, because you are part of that,
Absolutely. For sure.
That. And it's when you take a step, you're taking a step for all of the women, all the men in your family, in your generation.
Mm-hmm.
As you step forward into new places and spaces, when you clear that stuff out of the way, you're clearing it for all those. You're clearing it for the future too.
Yes. Yep. So we were going to get into why it's important.
Yes. What was it, and how important it is to heal it? Definitely. Why is it important? I mean, that's a really good question. Why is it important? A lot of people would say, well, why do I need to do that? But it's really important because it's going to bring a new level of freedom and moving forward for you and for your generation after you. And maybe even could be even like older, and your generation is already, your children are in their 40s, or whatever. You're still clearing that karma for them when you move through that space and clear it for yourself.
So breaking dysfunctional and toxic paradigms that exist within your family,
yes.
That may be presented in yourself, or something that you want to just have it not affect you. Like things like, alcoholism. That would be something,
Okay.
addictive
behavior.
Yeah. First, you got to take care of yourself. That's the first place you start, right?
Yeah. Yes, you start there. That's right. And that's very foundation,
Mm-hmm.
That's what, okay, so I got this article I found. I'm going to just shoot that out and we'll just bounce it back and forth. It's called, excuse me, 8 Steps to Healing Ancestral Patterns. So this will sort of help us guide us a little bit too, and put a little input in there. But the number one is, you won't be able to change anyone except yourself.
Right.
Can't expect anyone in your family to change. After all, these patterns have happened for hundreds of years.
Sometimes, yep.
All you can do is alter the way you interact with others operating in these patterns. If you choose to engage with them at all, you must be willing to shine the light inward and see if you are perpetrating any of these patterns in your life. So that's the number one. I thought that was really good. Looking inward, that's a very powerful. I think that, what just popped in my mind is that song, Man in the Mirror, I'm looking at the man in the mirror, so we got to look at ourselves. That's my interpretation. Not very good, but it's the same, but it's
Mm-hmm.
looking at that man in the mirror and seeing, who am I really and what am I demonstrating,
Right.
you know? And the old saying, remember the old saying, uh, well, we always told our kids, do as I say, but don't do as I do.
That doesn't work.
That don't work. Those your children are watching you. They're saying, but you're doing, it's like I'm not going to say who, but lets their kids carry food in the living room and eat on the sofa and just slob it everywhere. Some people do this, and then they get mad and they say, "Why are you doing that?" And the next thing you know, they're in there eating a bag of Doritos,
Right.
themselves. But you ain't supposed to be in the living room eating that food. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself in the kitchen. And then, it doesn't work. You have to
Mm-hmm.
lead. We lead by example, and you can't go around and personally live in pain and say what would be unforgiveness and manifest that to show it to your children, and then say forgive them, they just did a bad thing. They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
do the same. They're gonna replicate everything you do. So
Yeah. And if they don't do it when you're when you're home and watching, they're going to do it when you're not, if they're old enough, It can happen.
Yep, exactly.
Just to
So,
avoid you complaining.
yep. So number one is to heal yourself. You have to start with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Start with you. Look at the man in the mirror. Number two, find the root patterns. What are your patterns? Are they guilt, control, manipulation, being a victim, a perpetrator, a bystander? Is it self-worth, being a self-martyr or self-sacrifice?
Mm-hmm.
Exclusion, choosing your favorite. My grandma used to do that. You're the favorite. I mean, can you imagine having like 7 kids and once in a, every week you would pick the favorite?
Actually, I would make that into a joke. I would tell all my students that they're my favorites. Like I would tell them personally.
Oh, really?
It made them feel special for a minute,
You're my
And so we'd
favorite.
laugh. We'd just laugh about it because
Yeah, that's
it
what
was
we
just
did
funny.
like later years, my grandma, well, she was a character, and some patterns, man, that was really deeply rooted there. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would joke with my kids, "You're the favorite today," and they would laugh about it because they knew that each one of them had a special place in my heart. They're all so unique and different, but
Oh boy, could I tell you stories about my family? Oh my goodness.
we would be on here for all day if we started on family stories back and forth. Me
Oh,
too. I got tons of stories on families. Okay, so do you have any patterns? Lying, deception, self-sabotage. That's a huge one. That's where you do everything you do, you sabotage yourself. Fear, negative obsession. So you identify what is my issue, what's going on, and a lot of this can really help you if you journal. Write it down. Don't just
mm-hmm.
think in your head, but actually sit down and put it on paper. This is what's going on for me, so that you can work on those things. Next, number 3 is call it out. Once you've identified your toxic pattern in your family, you want to step out of it. You need to. Where is it popping up? Does it stay in the family, or are others in your life creating it in yours? Can you take a step back and look at yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Try to set your ego aside.
So calling it out tends to be one that I will use.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Doesn't always go, it's not just one-sided. The person receiving the information has a mind of their own too. And it sometimes can cause some things. You come at it very level-headed, understanding the nuances of the situation. So everybody's, of course, will be different. But that actually kind of recently happened in my family dynamic, where there was a Easter celebration going on early, and there have my family tends to be on one side incredibly critical and outspoken about things, and verbally combative, and quite cruel and insensitive.
Oh no.
And I had a couple interactions over the past 2 years, and I've just made a conscious decision that I absolutely will not subject myself to that.
Yes, that's good.
Any shape or form.
Yes.
In the interim of this time frame or phase, there's been no contact. No contact in the sense of reaching out and saying, "Hey, what? I really was, maybe I have my own opinions, but I was wrong for treating you that way or something like that. None of that has happened.
Nothing.
And I mean, I think that doesn't necessarily make it okay or have it go. It's not going to necessarily go away, but it's a step in the right direction. And it's their awareness of being mature enough to say, I really effed up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I might have my own opinions of what she should do or who she should be, but that's not, in doing so, and her, me forcing that upon her, and let's say she did do it, like myself, you're removing their another person's ability to have free will and use their mind for themselves. And so that's never been me. So no, thank you. And so after a while, when you get tired of hearing it, you start to stick up for yourself a little bit. And so, but in the process of doing that and speaking up, I've then had to tell my grandmother no, because this is why.
Yeah.
And they're incredibly good too, by the way, because then it gets turned around on, well, I hope you feel better and you take care of that so things are okay. And I'm like, no, it's not mine. It's not mine to own. And so therefore I don't accept that. It's unacceptable, and I don't accept that responsibility. My responsibility is for me, and
Yes.
I will not be in an environment in which is toxic and dysfunctional and abusive. So
Yes. That's a
no,
big
it's
deal right
it's
there.
still yours. Like I still like, okay, you may have tried to throw it past me the ball, but no, I'm just gonna pass it right back. And
Yes.
so yeah.
Wow.
So it can be things as subtle as that, you know.
Yeah.
I try to give a concrete
Yeah.
example.
That's good. That's good because you know what? I think that I mean I know that most people have got huge that's where a lot of issues stem from is huge division or family issues that where there's just toxic energy one place or the other, you know, with it could be siblings against siblings. It can be, you know,
Yeah.
cousins and you know, with cousins and stuff that maybe you don't see it as much, but they're just toxic. These relationships are not going to work,
Hmm.
and there can be a lot of especially when you get the you know the what would you call it, the generational grandmothers and grandfathers and
Hmm.
everybody, and they're aging, and aging is so different these days because when you've got the grandfathers and grandmothers aging, you know 100 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever, they would live with the family. You know, the kids took care of
Yes.
they took care of their parents until they were gone, and then the farm carried on, and then the same thing happened again. We have children,
Right.
and those children come along, they take care of us, and then they keep the farm. um
Right.
you know so it's like now it's not like that anymore. Now we just get our older parents or whatever, we just throw them into a home. You know, here, what nursing home did you like to go to, you know, here's your free pass. It's like getting Willy Wonka's golden ticket. Here's your free golden ticket. And
It's so funny that you say that, because like I would never want my aging parent to go
to
to,
a home.
as long
Oh
as
yeah,
I could care for them. And
exactly.
and so now my mother has passed now. So but anytime she would display some of those behaviors that I described, I would say, I'm going to be the person that decides where you go when you're old. Like, want it to be nice. And I think a couple times it caught, like, she was like,
Yeah.
like I'm
Like,
about to go have an interview down at the home. So when you're ready, you're pre-registered.
mhm. It's just so true, and it's just a different. And so we have, you know, you could sit with your parents or your grandparents and go through the old stories and find out a lot of stuff about your ancestral karma and what happened to their parents and what happened. You know, we're going
Yes.
generations, and that was so powerful for you to move on to the next space. And so our greatest, I mean, I know that Shannon and I both feel the same way. Our greatest desire is for everyone to move into health and healing. And
Yeah.
if this little ditty that we do helps you move forward, we're just super excited, and we're like, whoa, this is great, because
Right.
it's that's what it's all about, and how we move through it. We all move
Mhm.
through space and everything differently. So it's calling it out. That was your thing. Next, number 4 is triggers. And I know we're running on time here. Triggers is where you find your edge. We might split this in two and come back tomorrow and
Yeah.
just continue because it's a really hot topic and it's really powerful about,
Hmm.
clearing that and bringing yourself into health and homeostasis, you know.
Hmm.
But triggers is number 4. And we could stop there if you want and go to 5, 6, and whatever tomorrow. But
Okay.
where you find your edge, are you triggered by the actions of others? What is your triggering response? Do you engage with it with anger, frustration, or victimization? You might need to stand up for yourself and your needs, or you might need to let things go and try bringing. Isn't it funny? The people that a lot of times, some people have no problem standing up for themselves, They're like, I ain't nobody's dang doormat,
Hmm.
no bullshit. Ding, ding, ding. I'm not no doormat. So, and then other people, they wouldn't say shit if they had a mouthful. They just wouldn't say nothing. And so,
They just chew on it and
yeah,
swallow.
exactly. And if you think about it,
And
it
what does
goes,
that manifest? Eventually, that
oh,
manifests some kind of disease or illness, chronic.
yeah, but you're pushing it down, pushing it down. And then the person that's very vocal, a lot of times, sometimes what they don't have any control over their loudspeaker. So everything that comes into the head goes out the mouth, and so then they end up going and feeling bad. Why did I say that? Why did I say this? You know,
Right.
why did I shoot that out of my mouth? Why can't I control myself? Um, and that's what you came here to learn. This is what
Hmm.
your what you came here to change the cycle of. Whether if you're a doormat, you came to learn how to stand up for yourself and speak your personal truth. If you're, where you out there and sometimes you hurt people with your words, you came to learn how to manage that and to process that through first, filter it through a little bit and bring
Hmm.
about and come across with love. I can be loving and still say, I'm tired of your crap, you know,
Right.
um, you know what I mean? Well,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I try myself, but I mean, I don't ever say that about really too much, but when I do say it, it's like one of those commercials or those little things, those memes you see. I don't
Right.
drink, but when I do,
Right.
you know,
So my dad's probably chomping at the bit because we haven't addressed what he's saying.
yes, go for it.
So, and we're over time, but
Yes, we got a few minutes. Started to
yeah.
5 late, so we're rolling.
Okay.
Yeah, about 5 minutes over.
Okay. So I just wanted to tell him, Dad, we're only on till 8:30.
Yeah,
Like we're over
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Um, so what did he say? He said he took Teresa, that's his girlfriend. It's
Okay.
hard to say that she's his girlfriend because they've been together for like 20 years. So
Yeah.
um, to the 1900s turn of the century in a remote state park. Okay, so this the park that he's talking about is Bell, the town of Bell that burnt in the Metz fire of 1905.
Oh,
I think that's the correct story.
okay.
And it's like this I mean, essentially it's abandoned. They found it and like kind of refurbished it and cleaned up the tombstones and stuff.
Really?
And
Okay.
put a fence around it. And it's very cool. People get a lot of vibes from that space. I know
Okay.
a friend of mine used to, like, she lives close to there too and walks over there. And yeah, I don't know. So that's what he was talking about. If anybody wants to look up the Metz fire in the town of Bell.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on well, it's near Bell Bay in Presque Isle,
Okay.
in Northeast Michigan.
Okay.
So that's what he's talking about. Yeah, there's kind of it just it feels odd, and there's last names and that exist in the town today in
Okay.
you know like in the cemetery where you can see, and so there's a lot of rich history there. Actually, not a lot. There's a little bit of rich history because it kind of just went lost, for a while.
Okay.
So that's what he's talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So if
That,
you live in that area and you think you have family members of in that might be a place that you could go visit the grave. I don't know.
right.
Depends.
Yeah. Yeah. And see what energies you pick up while you're there.
Mhm.
And that's cool. Um,
Yeah,
really. Hmm.
I I mean, I just felt like there was just a lot there.
Yeah. That's what I've
Um,
heard.
But other than that, I didn't feel personally connected to it.
Right. Yeah. I never knew there was a fire.
Metz fire.
Fire. Never.
And
What started that fire? I mean, just thinking. But yeah. Wow. That's
I think
interesting.
they do know. I'm looking it up real quick.
Okay.
Oh, well, there's other towns of Metz.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Michigan. It's right outside of Posen, just west of Posen. If anybody knows where Posen is.
Posen. Never even heard of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1908.
1908. Okay.
So the Metz fire of 1908 started somewhere west of Millersburg, Michigan, in the late morning of October 15th, 1908. Pushed by gale force winds, by that night, the fire had burned its way to the Lake Huron shoreline, which would have been the town of Bell, a distance of about 35 miles. Okay. In its wake, 37 people lay dead. The once prosperous village of Metz was charred in a smoking ruin.
Wow.
And at least 134 families, about 700 people, found themselves homeless. Wow. So I'm just trying to look what caused it.
1908?
1908. Mm-hmm.
Oh. So there's probably nobody, not even like old people alive to tell the story, that were maybe a child then. That's too far back.
No. I do, but I mean they've kind of been keeping track of it, there is some history.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'll show you.
Yeah, interesting.
You see it?
Nope, I don't see nothing yet.
Oh, wait, I gotta turn the thing on. I'm clicking around.
Okay. Oh, wow. Fire. Okay.
By the time the train left the Metz area around the village, it was engulfed in flames. Wow. So there's still people in that town named Nowicki.
Okay.
Yeah. For example.
Yes. So that their family had been there probably forever.
Yeah.
In that area. Primarily in this area, what are the heritage of most of the people?
Polish and French, though this particular area is really close to Lear, which would have been a small Norwegian settlement.
Okay.
But yes, primarily Polish. Yeah, and there's a lot of French too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So
that stuff's very interesting to me. I mean, I'm really interested in. I like digging up old photos and heritage. That's what I do for my, even about my own self. I would like to know more, for my family and where they came and settled. And I know that my great grandmother, the Cherokee Indian, they came from what was called Poor Valley, which was way down in I guess there was a reason why it was called Poor Valley down in Virginia.
My dad said it was a lightning fire.
Lightning fire? Okay. Interesting. And
then he said, I interrupted you though, so I want you middle of the woods. I don't know what he's saying. He's saying a lot of things. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Did you read it?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'm sort of just going on too. Yeah, like bouncing around. But anyway,
he said, "Don't say what I think. Ask." What do you mean? You don't want me to tell you what you think?
Okay. But anyway, so this is really good. I'm going to save the rest of these 5 through number 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 for tomorrow. And continuing on healing ancestral karma.
Part 3.
Part 3. Yeah, part 3. Yeah, and it's good. It's really good though. I think it's this is what's needed right now. because we have to cut loose of all this third dimensional crap and let it go. And this is the way you're going to cut loose of your crap, people. Cut loose of all the strings of things that are tying you down, is to rid yourself of all ancestral karma, moving into a brighter light, shining that light so bright that all this crap in this world does not matter to you. It has no effect on you because you are a fifth dimensional being and you're moving into that the highest vibration and highest light. So shine, shine brightly.
Yes. Just one more little thing where a place where we could possibly start our conversation tomorrow.
Yes.
Is a friend of mine that I had lunch with yesterday.
Yes.
She said, how would you and Drema go about inner child work? Which I thought for a second, I'm like, because I think the ancestral karma thing is such a big like umbrella.
Yes.
And and the inner child is just a term that has been used in psychology to identify like a portion of that. So I think in all respects, it's healing your family of origin, your roots, it's the lower chakra stuff going through because we're, multi dimensional beings as well. And some of those timelines will be reoccurring. And, you maybe unconsciously regress to a pain that had happened at a certain age. I think all of these things kind of are interplaying at the same time. Because I think that comes across sometimes in your readings that you're like, I'm seeing you when you were whatever age, right?
Yeah, I do a lot of inner child work, and what it always is, it's very intuitive for me. I don't purposely ever go at somebody unless they come to me and say, I really want to do inner child work.
Sure.
But if they don't say that, I let the divine guide me. And if that's what the divine guides me, I mean, I've had the divine guide me to 5-year-old we're going to deal with your 5-year-old self that is not ever, moved past a death that happened when you were 5, and then usually the client will say, yes, I lost my mother, lost my father when I was 5, and I never had the ability to move past that. And so then we bring that child forth and bring healing to that child, which absolutely changes that person's dynamic. I mean, I've had people that were literally healed and then were able to get off of pharmaceuticals that they were taking for pain. And it was not physical pain, it was the emotional pain. And so relieving that emotional pain is so clear and healing. So that's how I move through inner child work. Unless somebody said, I want to do inner child work, we just target it through intuitively. Yeah. Just sort of like,
because those often happen, those, inner child traumas happen within your ancestors, like your parents and your grandparents. You're usually in their presence. So at the same time, I think it's just all kind of encompassing one thing.
Yes, that's very powerful. And that's part of, I think this whole scope is very much about healing, period. Just healing who you are inside, because if you fix the inside, the outside will manifest, and you're going to bring you're going to bring healing to the body, mind, soul. Everything is just going to come into homeostasis and alignment, and you're going to feel fantastic and be able to move through this life, and not be constantly tagged by things, the anchors in your life, a song comes on, a situation, a person you meet, a phone call happens, and, whatever you're moving through, and it can trigger you back to that emotional moment. And so then, I know for me, my own personal self, there are certain music or songs that will pull me and trigger me right back to, I would say, the year 2000. So I had some dynamics going on in my own life. And so I'm like, wow, okay. But the triggers, when it happens, it doesn't hurt as much. At first, it was very painful. It would like drive me to a lot of tears, emotion, and then now it just sort of washes over me because I've come to just keep yanking those things out. It's like pulling an anchor up out of the deep waters, pulling that out of my deep waters, and I'm not going to let that anchor me anymore. And So that's what we're after. So
it's not that you forget, it's just you heal the negative emotions attached to it. You can still recognize them. You can even maybe feel them on the periphery, but you don't go into deep cycles of ickiness.
It doesn't trash you for the whole day. Where I had that, it would trash me the whole day. I'd be like a lump all day. And my thoughts would start just returning to that trauma. And now, it doesn't trash me anymore. And that is the healed healer. That's we're all moving through that. So we can utilize the path of pain that we've walked, the trail of tears, our own trail of tears, and we can sow beauty. And scripture says about beauty into ash, ashes into beauty. We can sackcloth and ashes into a garment of praise, or where we just sort of lifted out of that space. And now I can share this with you. I lost my child, and it was a horrible, painful thing, but I can share it through the side of, there is a sunny day coming. There's a lot of darkness right now, and it's okay, but there's a day coming. It's going to be, the sun's going to come out again for you, and you just have to hang on, and it's going to be okay. So beautiful. Yay.
And if everybody's seeing the chat, my dad was correcting me in the information.
Yeah. I see it too. Yes, that's okay. We love you, Dad. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know that the Blackfeet tribe were there. Are those the people? I think they have like really big hands or something. There's something genetic that causes them to have really big hands.
Really?
That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know for sure, but I told him, like, maybe we should just do something on just that, because clearly he wants to express it.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're running late.
Part 3 tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll continue talking about personal healing, ancestral karma. It's beautiful. I love it. It's
how
awesome.
It can be powerful. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Blessings, and have a fantastic day, everybody.
Love
you all.
Thanks.
Bye. Love you. Bye, Dad. Have a great day.